So my first question for you is, what are the biggest barriers to the diffusion of productive technologies and skills between firms and between economies?
What our research shows is that each country has its own specific set of challenges because of what their policy characteristics are. But if we were to wrap it up as what we have to have happen in order to promote diffusion, we need to allow firms to enter, start up. We also need to allow them to exit. So if they're not productive, they've got to be able to exit. Workers have to be able to move from one job to another so that their skills are best matched. So when we talk about what promotes diffusion in general, it's flexibility, it's adaptability. And different policies are going to do that in different countries depending on where their characteristics are now.
Thank you. My next question is, how will strengthening climate change regimes affect the process of diffusion both between global frontier and national frontier firms and national frontier firms and the rest of the firms in a country's economy?
We've done a lot of work on the question of whether or not there's a positive or a negative correlation between environmental stringency and productivity growth. And what we found is that in an environment where environmental stringency increases, which of course would be related to a climate change regime, that promotes enhanced productivity at firms because they've got a new target that they have to meet. Some firms that can't do it exit the market. So you've got a productivity enhancement. The second thing that we found that environmental stringency does is it creates an umbrella under which firms try to meet that new target. It creates a new market for them, and they become exporters of that new environmental technology. So it both enhances productivity at home and it creates a new market abroad.
What policies do you think can most effectively promote business investment in Europe's current environment of uncertainty?
We've been doing a lot of work on what is holding back the business investment in Europe, and of course it is dreadful. It's 15% below where it was in 2008. A couple factors. One is what we found is that regulatory harmonization in network industries would enhance cross-border investment, boost it by about 20%. So it's regulatory harmonization, not deregulation, but it's just there's so many different regulations in Europe that businesses say we're not going to bother to invest because we don't really have a single market here. So that's the first thing, regulatory harmonization. The second thing is that we've realized or come to realize really the importance of having all of the countries in Europe starting to expand together. Because when business looks at Europe, they look at it as a whole market. So if maybe Germany's doing better, but if France isn't growing, or if Italy isn't growing, they sort of say, well, collectively, the market really isn't growing, so why should I invest? So there's a very strong neighborhood effect that is making decisions to either invest or not. Your whole neighborhood has to be doing well before business says, yes, I'm going to invest. And the third element that's important for public investment in Europe is very much collective action. Individual governments, if they were to spend money, well, it leaks out of their country. But if collectively all of the governments in Europe were to engage with a little bit more public investment, the gains to the Europe as a whole would be so large that actually the debt to GDP ratio would go down.